Disinfection in the house. Lord forgive them, they know not what they do. If you take a walk anywhere today, all you hear about is the strange virus, corona. The Corolla, ha ha ha. The coronavirus, okay. Today I took a walk through my town and people were wondering why I had why I was in such a good mood. And then I met a man who told me a story that he was at the store and it finally got some disinfection for the house. And there were practically fights to get it. If they knew what they were really doing with this disinfection middle at home. I'd like to have to take a look at this from the health organization here, the pamphlet. In it they give instructions on how to use disinfection products in the home, especially in a household where people are healthy and not sick. This is what it says. Disinfection products are essential for hospitals and doctor's office and everywhere there is the spreading of sickness caused by pathogens. There is no place for disinfection in a household with healthy people. They wind up going down the drain and running into the water system and disturb the biological processes in the sewage system. Because of your antimicrobiotic working, the microorganisms will also destroy the needed microbes that are there to break down the waste products that are in the sewage system. This will definitely disturb the biological cleaning and breakdown in the sewer system. No one seems to be thinking about this problem, but also what do they have for an alternative? It seems none. Today I want to explain an alternative about water. What is with the water? What happens with the water anyway? Water formula is H2O, which is the bigger molecule, H or the O? O, yes, O is bigger, that is right. O is oxygen and has 4 electrons more, protons and neutrons. 24 independent parts. And the atom from hydrogen, the hydrogen atom is made of 1 proton and 1 electron. That means the hydrogen atom is extremely smaller than the oxygen atom. And actually the water molecule is not dependent on having 2 hydrogen molecules. Now and then that happens with the water molecule in some processes. It's possible for the water molecule to lose a hydrogen hydrogen atom. It just will disconnect. And of course we can force this project. The hydrogen atom can leave the water molecule and it doesn't make any difference. The oxygen molecule is so big and the oxygen model has a much stronger attraction field, keeping all of the electrons around it. It keeps its electrons on it and the protons are just flying around. They can jump over the oxygen bridge back and forth. And why does the hydrogen model leave? Because it has the possibility of picking up new electrons somewhere else. And this process we can create or force with in that you put the water into an electro chamber and then you add high voltage, create an electrical field, and then this hydrogen module or molecule, what we will call H+, which actually has no electron at the moment. It has a positive charge, but it is still not balanced. So it will automatically then move towards the negative molecules. The plates that are aus titanium that is coated with platine. But the platine that is the coating on the outside doesn't like to react with other atoms. And the plates that are in there, they are not like the other older plates that would rust quite quickly. The plates that are in there now have a life of around 15 years. That means there's practically no corrosion. It's very, very low. And this hydrogen atom is actually a pure proton. It has to find another reaction partner that is in the water to bind with. We have chloride and nitrate. We have sulfur in water. We have phosphor in the water. And that's what these atoms then react a lot. And here's the water that I made. If you would smell it, you could tell it's not for drinking. Yes, it smells like, a swimming pool, like chlorine. I have a patient, he comes because he has a problem from the chlorine and his airways. And if he has to constantly breathe in the vapors from that chlorine, he will not be able to do that for his. It will be very damaging for his health, and he would have to retire early. Okay, like we said, the atoms and the nitrate, people are always asking, what do we do with the nitrate? It can't be filtered out. There's no real filter for the nitrate, but you could ionize the water, and then the hydrogen molecules that are set free, the hydrogen protons, and all of the other elements that are in there that have too many electrons on them will bind together, and that will leave from all that runs out of this small hose that comes out of the Kangen machine. And this is the water we can use for disinfecting or watering plants. So the water that comes out can be used for that. All other things, not for drinking. There's a question, it's quite inaudible. The answer, no, it should be done immediately. There is something you need to put into the ionization tank. It's in a really nice bottle, blue bottle. This is the ionization enhancer. This is to improve the conductivity of the water. With it, you can enhance the proton count. You can would be measured in millivolts. 1,100 millivolts are in it. I do like to show it how it works, but my battery has given up its ghost. Let me try with a new battery here. I'm afraid, I don't know, it might have a little bit of moisture in it. Oh, let me see. This doesn't look like it's properly connected. Yeah, no. Oh, okay, seems it was just the moisture, or it wasn't properly closed. So now, yes, we will be able to have an acceptable readout. This is what we have from a normal drink water. There's also electrons, when they have not been through a Kangen machine. So now, please give me the bottle that's strong smelling, and I can show you what the difference in the measurement is. There's more than 3 times as many protons in this water as there are electrons. 3 times more. And when we have such water, we can actually sit back, relaxed, and not have to worry about any bacteria or viruses or fungus, mold. We can just wash our hands with it. We use it as soap for our hands, and it has such strong power that it can't imagine a virus could survive it. But I'm not allowed to give any promise of health or healing. But I'd like to tell you what has all happened to me with this water. For a long time I had on my cheek an infected area that was really with pus. It was so bad that you normally would not be able to get it under control without some type of operative process. And then it would it was also it would start to itch, and it was getting bigger. And a couple of years ago I had it, and they extracted about a half a liter of pus out of this area on my face. And they wanted to do some big construction on my mouth, and I really didn't want to go through that, including removal of my teeth and putting new implants in. Yeah, for the dentist, that's just normal business. You just take the ones out that are defect and just replace them. Okay, then I saw on the x-ray that the bone, jawbone, was in no way beeinflussed or affected from this infection. So it was no real need for immediate action. I pumped out the pus 2 times, which of course by the second time they said, yeah, don't you think we want to take care of the problem in a more permanent way? And I said, no, I have other possibilities. Because by the first 2 times I have some remedies. Because by the other 2 times I had already used, tried out my medications that I have for myself, and now I found a toothpaste from a special company, and they had promised me that this would be able to take care of the problem. But actually, so an abscess, there's not only the bad bacteria, but also the good bacteria. Normally it's divided into the anaerobic bacteria and the aerobic bacteria. And in this abscess is naturally the bacteria. They need no oxygen. These are the good ones, the same ones that are in the intestines. And if we give them this basische water that has them more than 400 electrons available, then they will exist very well. And they can flourish. But then the abscess will also flourish. And then, of course, it's important to find a possibility. This abscess and these bacteria, no matter if they're good or not good, such an abscess, it will start to pucker, and it doesn't matter if they're good or bad. We need to do something about it. So then I started to use this good water that's actually bad for bacteria to rinse my mouth out with. This caused after a little while, of course, my mouth to dry out. If you do it 3 times, it's better that you get this basic water. I have a bottle, I have a plastic bag that I put the basic water in. Yeah, it's a big plastic bag. You just give that to me. Then I can show you. Normally I have apple juice in it. Yeah, I have antioxidative stuff in the bag usually. And so I always filled up this bag, especially when I was in Sri Lanka. And when I was there, I always made this water and put it in the bag, and usually kept it in the refrigerator. Because this water is not only, we'll take a look at the screen, Jörg Donut from Switzerland. He made this extra for me because I couldn't understand the Chinese. He's a professor for chemistry, and he put it in language for everyone to understand. So we see on the one side we have the H plus electrons with their extra electrons, and on the other side we have the rest of the water molecule. That's the other hydrogen atom and the oxygen atom. But because that has kept its electron, it has a negative charge. So in this water in the bag, there is a whole bunch of these negatively charged atoms. These are hydroxy atoms, and they're extreme basic with a 600 to 700 millivolt surplus of electrons. So let's see what my measuring device is doing here. Well, I've showed that quite a few times already, so let's take a look over here. Now we have the surplus of electrons, and now this water will be looking for something to that has a negative charge to bind with. It's always about the reaction. They have to bind. The things that are coming to be attached, they have to bring something to attach. It's like by a marriage, you have to have a midgift, a promise, a payment. So we have we have potassium, calcium, sodium, and magnesium. But the calcium looks a little white, and especially if we want to use this water, especially if we want to clean or wash with it, then the calcium is actually a hindrance. That's why I put the bag for 3 days in the refrigerator, so that this calcium molecules can settle down, and therewith the water will have a stronger cleaning effect. The other water for disinfection will lose its efficiency after 2 or 3 days. So you need to use it fresh. Then it's good if you have a machine at home so that you have the availability. There was a young man, his whole face was full of acne, pimples, and since I had such good results with the abscess in my mouth, I gave him a little bit of the sour water. And then, of course, the young man was from Bottrop, and Bottrop is quite a ways away. So we had to think about if we know anyone around Bottrop that has a machine. And of course, it would have to be someone with quite a social vein that likes to help and would be glad if someone comes around to give help to. So I found someone and I said he should go over there every 2 days and get fresh water from the machine. And so he wouldn't have to feel guilty about going there to get the water for free. I told him he should bring along a little present. And so the person who has a Kangen machine can have it. He can be signed up onto a list so that we have a kind of community with a wider area that we are covered. And I gave him a small present from the company so they don't have any kind of financial loss. And we also from the list, the company give them a small provision so that they can spread the word of how good the product also is. So the question was, did it help the young man? But I said, well, it didn't make any kind of healing promises, but I just said I had good results with it in my mouth and could recommend him trying it for his face. And if he tried it a couple of times and you see that he's having good results, then he will see for himself how good it works. And then the next point is by the partner or wife or husband who might be a little bit older, where the knees and the bones are starting to creak and crack when they sit or stand up. And then you get the next question, what can you do anything with water, with this good water? And of course, we can use this water because it enters the cell much better. Whereas this water will cause the cells to dry out. It's water in the black bottle. That's one reason that bacteria cannot live too long when they come into contact with this water. And that has to do with the fact that in the new century, they've gained a new understanding in the transport of water. In the chemistry, they used to think of everything happened with diffusion, but it couldn't possibly be that way. Let's take a look at a kidney. For example, the kidney filters how many liters of water a day? 180 liters a day. We are talking about primary urine production. 180 liters of water is filtered. If we are not capable of reabsorbing that water, then our cards are looking bad. We'll dry up and shrivel out. And if we reabsorb this water or not, it's not dependent only on the pressure. It's a question of the aqua purine. This is what they have recently discovered and even received the Nobel Prize. The aqua purine and water work for the transport of the water into the cell. The cell will only take the water on or let the water enter if it doesn't have too many electrons on it. And all the vitamins and all the minerals and the enzymes have a plus of electrons. This provides the transport for the return of the enzymes or for the transporting the enzymes out of the cell into the blood. This all sounds like a lot of theory. Let's just take a look. Here we have an overview of the different types of water. At the top we see the ORP number. ORP stands for oxidation reduction potential. So by the reverse osmosis and by soft drinks, we see extremely poor results, but not as acidic as in the water we have in the black bottle here. The soda pop or soft drinks have about a third of the acidity water that's in the black bottle. And you see the tap water has about 300. Bottled water is somewhat better at approximately 280. And that what we do with the Ayurveda is we take the water and cook it for 10 minutes. That was the recommendation from Dr. Atsu. Dr. Atsu of Hyderabad recommended that we would regularly cook the water to a boiling point. And the water can actually then enter the cell wall easier, even though it only has the half of the protons that we have in our Kangen water. Like we said before, the protons are like the brake or the stop mechanism for the water to move through the channels in the cells. So the question is, so instead of having a machine, we could cook the water for 10 minutes and it would also be effective. It's not oxidative, it's just less antioxidative than at that state. So it doesn't effectively cross the border from red to green. That's the question again. And so the nice Dr. Atsu says Kangen water is 6 times more effective, stronger. He has 2 machines in his clinic, and we are having 2 machines in Sri Lanka so that the people and the patients can be efficiently supplied with efficient water. It's a great advantage over the osmosis machines because they were less efficient and they also took a lot of time to produce the water. The question was, what is the ORF value of osmosis water? And answer is just about that of the soft drinks. Replies, someone said that they are very good, and the answer from Dr. Lüchtefeld that, of course, if someone wants to sell you a machine, they're going to tell you it's good. But I drank the water myself, and my bones were really getting dried out. So it got to the point where my daughter stood next to me and said, Papa, you really need to do something. Your bones are making a lot of noise, creaking. Okay, good. So I started drinking the Kangen water, and the older I'm getting, the more flexible my bones are becoming. So if somebody tells me these old knackis are knocking because they're old, that's not the reason. It's the joints. The joints start to creak and pop because they're not getting the water they need. And with the reverse osmosis, the water, the problem was getting worse. My circulation problems were getting worse. I was dizzy and my circulation wasn't functioning well. When I was in my garden trying to collect up my herbs and I would stand back up, I would have to hold on to something because I would really be dizzy. And being an herbal specialist cannot deal with the problems like that. Have to remain flexible. That just can't be. It's not acceptable. So you see the connection that the water is not making it into the bones, and above all that, the electrical charge is missing. the electrons, they disappear by the reverse osmosis process. They're reduced, and because the minerals are also removed. Principally, there's nothing left in the water. It's basically a distilled water form, with all the valuable parts of the water going down the drain. Only 1/10 of the water is then left for drinking. That's pretty heavy. At least that was my experience. And then along came this lady and said, I need to drink this water and I should watch the videos on YouTube. And this went back and forth. So I finally gave in and said, okay, let me try it out and see for myself. And so I tried drinking the water, and after 14 days I realized results. And then of course I had to buy it because I wanted it. So that's about how the way the story went. So then back to our chart. If we take a look here where the green tea is at, and the fruit juices at approximately between 17 and 70 ORPs, millivolt in the minus area. Here we start with the antioxidant effect. And by cod liver oil, it's even better. There we are already around 200. But I really wouldn't want to have to drink that anymore. And then finally we come to the Kangen water on the scale of approximately 600. This is of course very good. So what's missing from the picture is of course the disinfection agent we have here in the black bottle, which is extremely on the basic side, around 800, and the other one at approximately 1100. Okay, question: is that dangerous for the environment? Oh, that's the what makes it so special. Yes, that is what is special about it. We'll come up with the agricultural products and uses. So the bottle you have standing at home, you can't really let the bottles stand around. We're talking about household chemicals here. They're very dangerous for children. If they get into the hands of children, they're very poisonous, very harmful. Also, the vapors that escape from these bottles of household chemicals, even in a closed state, vapors are released that are very harmful into the air. The pollution of these chemicals in the home are 10 times higher in the air than they are outside. The knowledge we have about the aquaporins we have from these two doctors here. They earned the Nobel Prize in 2003 for their discovery of finding out that aquaporins even exist, and the cell channels or pathways that they use. In one blood cell, I believe there's about 200,000 aquaporins. And this water that is rich on electrons can move with full power, I believe with 3 million molecules per second through each aquaporine. But if it's negative, rather positive, has too many protons, then the aquaporins will not let them pass. Look something like this. You could quite compare it with the rhesus incompatibility, where in the blood there have been proteins found that they really didn't know what they were for. And then they saw that they formed these small channels, and they called this CHIPS, channel forming integrated proteins. They found these channels, and then they studied it further, and in the middle of these channels they found, oh, what do you call that by asparagus? Aspergillus? No. Asparagus, that's what's called, asparagus. And these aspergillus molecules will actually cause the water molecule to jump. And then the proteins that are even allowed to come in, they cannot get through. They have to stay out. The whole flow of water will be prohibited, causing dehydration. And if I have an extremely acidic water that contains a lot of proteins, you can imagine all of the small bacteria and virus we have in our environment, and the bacteria we have in our intestines. Of course, we have the good and the bad ones will actually be dried out alive or dead. And it will just remove the life energy from the cells, because our life form is always measured in a form of electrical impulse. So what does the doctor do when this patient is not feeling well, or if you have to call an ambulance? They have some machinery with them. Yes, an EKG to measure the electrode in the brain, the electrical pulse in the brain, and the EKG to measure the electrical impulse of the heart. It's always an electrical measurement, measuring the electrons. They're the ones that bring the power into the human machine. And if you continually drink water that has no electrical potential, then the blood cells will lose their electrical potential also. And what do the cells do so that they can enhance their potential? They combine. And this binding is why one of the main reasons you have thrombosis or heart attacks. And in the dark field microscopy you can see this coin forming of the cells as they bind. And we have a short film here on PowerPoint where an American doctor did a test before and after drinking the Kangen Water. It was in the ORP from around 600 millivolt in negative, minus. This electrical negative is actually has a positive work on the body, a positive effect on us. And we could see that this water, Kangen water, gave the electrons directly over to the blood cells. The electrons practically fly apart and reach the cells. And the effect is that the cells can move independently because they are not dependent. They don't have to bind with other cells to get the potential they need. Question: does this effect come anywhere naturally in our environment? Well, yes, of course. In every plant, plant life. Like Maharishi says, is a very wise man. Water to the root and enjoy the fruit. We're not really meant to drink the water. Rather, we should water the plants, the root of the plant, and then eat the fruits. They contain the high potential liquids. This is the way that nature produces antioxidants. No? It's easy, you know? Question, I mean, does it come naturally in some kind of a well water or sprout? It's a possibility exists where if the water would move through foreseen ways that they would have build up the potential. But if you would go there to collect the water, because by the time you got there and collected the water and got back home, the electrons would be evaporating into the air. There are places you could drink it directly there at the source. That's possible. You can, for example, also drink the tap water here. although it doesn't have a high ORP measurement, because that would support the life of the harmful bacteria in the water. They'd be able to reproduce well in there. That's not what we want. We don't want the bacteria to live. That's why the water needs to be made fresh before drinking. And if you would want to preserve the water, like we have here in the bag, we put them in the refrigerators where bacteria can't reproduce very fast, because these bags are never really sterile inside. Then I have an employee in Mambadi Goda. They use the water that was from the refrigerator for washing clothes. It will go into the threads of the cloth very well, this water, because of the many electrons. It can also go into the cell walls of the herbs. That's why you can make tea with this water without it having to be boiling hot. It happens a lot faster because the electrons bind with the herbs, bringing them out, and you save all the energy and time of cooking the water and heating it up. So you save all the energy, and you could just take your Kangen water, take a tea bag, and pour the water on, and it's good. Good is. One question: without cooking the water? Yes, you don't need to cook the water at all. And another good thing is you can make a whole row of tea from one bag. You can make 6 or 7 cups with practically no energy cost. My 2 doctors down there in Sri Lanka realized that the water does not bind with the oil. That is, the normal tap water won't bind with oil, even if they cook the water for a longer time. So we tried using the 11.5 water to bind with the oil. So now the enemas are all done with the 11.5 water. It's a general procedure now. You use the water for cooking. Yes, it would be cooked, and that's the process that happens by cooking the strong acidic water. And on the other side you have very strong alkaline water. And the number of electrons is by this water 10,000 times higher as the water that comes out of the tap. 10,000 times. And this acidic water, it has a pH of 2.5. And these are the machines that really produce these levels. There are a lot of people that are offering ionization machines, and if you ask the question if they if it's possible for the machine to produce 2.5 water, they'll start to mux. It's more like 3.5. So imagine with the 2.5 water, you could eliminate all bacteria. What's possible with 3.5? Does anybody remember from their school days what the pH, does anyone remember what pH means? The potential of the hydrogen molecules in water based on the hydrogen ion activity, either in water or in blood. But just a moment. It's like I have a logarithm and I have the number 10 and then there's a little 2 on there. Yes, it could be quite complicated. Let's just say we have a pH from 10 high 2. This means we have 2 zeros. 10 times 10 is 100. And if I have 10 high 3, it's 10 cubed, then I have 3 zeros. And say I have a 1 with 14 zeros, and under the division line I have 2 zeros. For a little bit of remembrance of math, if we want to divide that formula, yes, we just need to cross out the zeros. Then we'll know exactly what the answer would be. It means also if I have 10 squared, 10 high 2, and if I can kill 100% of all the bacteria with that, and all the virus and fungus, and instead of that I get 10 cubed or 10 high 3, principally I only have 1/10 their potential for killing the bacteria, virus, and fungus. It means then that I only will be killing or removing 10% of that which I want to do. That means that our disinfection water would only be 10% effective. 90% of the bacteria, virus, and fungus are going to be left over, so it's actually then for the cat, we would say, useless. The question is, we heard before that the disinfection metal or disinfection that we use goes down the drain is dangerous to the environment. How is it then with this disinfection water from Kangen? Answer: that kills the bacteria as long as it's directly put onto the bacteria, used directly, but as soon as it binds with other molecules, it's automatically inactivated. It's no longer dangerous. Just like I said before, you only need to go from pH 2 to 3 and you've already lost 90% of the effectivity. So it's like boom, it's only from 100 of 10%, and the pH will go down to 10⁻⁴, and then you only have 1/1000th of the potential. And the microorganisms that are in the sewage system, they have no problem with that. It's completely environmentally safe. It's not a problem at all. Of course, if you would go and pour this 2.5 water directly onto the surface, that wouldn't make the bacteria very happy at all. It kills on contact. So as you can see, there's no danger of it harming the environment or the sewage system. So that was the story about aquaporins. And now we'll talk about the agriculture. This company has also founded 2 other companies. One of the companies is to ecological, biological, to make biological products, perfect and without any microorganisms, where the problem is, of course, in the earth. We always have microorganisms. The earth is composed of 90 to 99% microorganisms, especially fungus. So if I want to plant rice, what do? They soak the seeds in 2.5 water, and then a second time in 2.5 water, with strong acidic water during transfer to be planted. And then they're ready to be put out on the fields, and the sprouts will also be treated with this strong acidic water. That's the strong Kangen water that we have here in the bag. And when the plants are flourishing in the field, and the farmers can go out with a big spray machine, and they don't need any protective clothing. There's no danger to their health. Don't need to wear any gloves. There's a comment. So what they're doing is disinfecting the fields, and the answer. Rice fields are always moist, and down at the bottom in the moisture you have a milieu, and down in this moist area it's important to keep the microorganism balance low. So you can completely eliminate using any kind of chemicals. So does that mean that rice is usually contaminated with chemicals? Yes and no. Well, I'm not sure. If they want to make a lot of money with the rice, yes, then I'm sure it is. At least in Sri Lanka, we didn't work with chemicals like that. But if other people are using it, it depends on how rich the farmers are. So a few people are tired and going to bed, so he says good night to them. I'm just going to put the video on YouTube so they can watch the rest. Strong acidic water is sprayed regularly to keep the rice healthy throughout its development. And here you see the roots on the left with the large roots from the electrolyzed water, and the right from the chemical fields. And here you see our special antioxidants in action. Take a look back there in that box. There should be a carton. It says Eugen on it. It's a paper carton. Well, I think maybe someone's looking at it. It's got to be around there somewhere. Oh yeah, okay, that's it. Yep, this is Eugen. Eugen is very unique in the world of spice. So what is it they do with this yellow root? So first it's harvested, then it's dried, and then on the plants where they usually have a lot of fungus, especially on the roots that will be taken out of the earth, there you always have the problem that these fungus will start to grow. And if they're moldy, the normal farmer who doesn't want to take a loss, he just lets them dry out completely and grind it up with the mold. I'm going to get a nice powder, and that doesn't happen by the Eugen factory. The first thing that's done when the roots are taken out of the earth, right away, they'll be washed with the very clean water right away. How to create safe and reliable Kangen Eugen. Eugen is automatically the translation, Japanese for the yellow root, kurkuma. Then it will be transferred immediately to this 2.5 water tanks or water baths and wash again, and then they will be cut, and then they come in and to the oven. And then they will be ground. We have this wonderful yellow powder. And they've mixed it with some special seeds to give you some more of the omega-3 oils. And then they took some special little capsules that have a special coating that they also have a patent for. And with that, they're doing quite well. And here we have the best Eugen, the best yellow root, kurkuma. And so anything else, I'm not sure what you get. Maybe the licorice root. Someone bought a pack and it was perfectly moldy from another company. And I always wondered why he was so ill, although he was taking a medicine that was supposed to keep him healthy, or a health food. For a few years ago, licorice root was cured the plant of the year, the healing plant of the year. But of course, that's licorice root without mold. And such things, if the companies would really work with the environmentally safe products and clean ways, we'd have a much better world. So hereby the company has been rewarded for their excellent job of producing environmentally safe products, and especially for their environmentally safe standards. From the health ministry in Japan, they will also be supplying the next Olympic Games from the company Energec. Yeah, so the company Energec will be represented at the Olympiad. And here we have the beauty water. You can spray it on your skin. That's not going to work by the young people with their acne. They're still going to have to kill the bacteria before they use the beauty water. And after the bacteria is gone, you can use it. It's a very nice 6.0 water. It makes your skin feel good. So with the 7.0 water, you can, 2.5, you can clean your toilet and your bathroom. You can handle patients in the hospital, treat injuries. You can use it on the sponge in the kitchen and the sponge in the toilet. Yeah, the kitchen sponge is really a bacteria trap. Most of the bacteria in the home are on the kitchen sponge. So if you dunk it in the 2.5 water, you're going to be resolving that problem. Now when I see in the kitchen people wiping with their kitchen rag, and I think of all the bacteria that's on it that they're spreading around, I just can tell them you could save your time doing that. Just get yourself a spray bottle. That's what I have for the people down in Sri Lanka, especially for the restaurant. I have 2. Spray bottle, you can pump it up so that you can just spray the water out. So you don't have to squeeze with your hand so much. It's much easier. You don't have to get any muscle cramps. You can spray the disinfection water over the counters, and you can even wipe your hands with it before they touch the vegetables, and then they have clean hands for the vegetables. It's very important, especially now at this time when everyone has their fear of microorganisms being everywhere. Yeah, what's her name again? Yeah, Corolla. Yeah, the coronavirus. The coronavirus. Yeah, anyway, this is it's important, especially in a restaurant where people are working. You have to have a competent cleaning methods and materials. And this water is, since 2005, registered in the United States. It is authorized for use in restaurants. So they're way much further than the German health organization. They'll still need to learn a bit, especially now when their disinfection fluids and methods are running out. They might need to take a look and check the possibilities that this strong Kangen water offers. Sour water, for its abilities to keep bacteria and other microorganisms under control. They are talk about basing their knowledge on their studies, but the studies they base their knowledge on are mostly coming from the chemical industry and the pharma industry. And of course, they want to sell their stuff. It leaves an oil immersion on the fruit and vegetables, because otherwise when it rains they would wash right off. So now you have this oily chemical mix on all the fruit and vegetables, which you would eat right along with it, because it looks all so pretty and shiny. So now you can just put the vegetables and fruit in this 11.5 Kangen water and take a look. It will just dissolve and swim up to the top. And then we also have the positive effect that this water has all these extra electrons in it. And these electrons have all this antioxidant power to them, which they will now give up their charge to the fruit and vegetables in the water, which they've been losing along the way anyway with time. And if you leave them at approximately 15 minutes in this 11.5 water, you can raise the potential of the fruits and vegetables in the water. And the nuts will taste way different. Here we have some grapes with Kangen water on the left and on the right in tap water. You can see how cloudy the water is becoming on the left. Well, we can wash clothes really well with Kangen water. I would, like I told the people in Sri Lanka, I wouldn't buy white clothes anyway, because they come in contact with the yellow oil. They won't be white for long. So they've changed the color of the cloth they're using to green, which looks really normal even after washing. So here's a picture of the different measurements from vegetables before and after. Before they had a plus from 60, the tomatoes, and now we have 273. And on the other side we have a lemon, plus from 246. And after being treated or laid in Kangen water, you have minus 362, which is actually quite more than is even available in nature. And here you see some more lemons. But principally, you have a wide range of availability and possibilities for using the Kangen water. You can make drinking water. You can alkalize your body and other things. You can use the alkaline water for cleaning and for disinfection, depending on the ORP number. And on the other side, of course, you can, by the water that you're drinking, you also have the added mineral compounds. And with the water coming into the cell on the cellular level much better, you're bringing the needed minerals right into the bones. There was a person that had their teeth checked a while back to see if he had any signs of osteoporosis. Like the dentists do if they're thinking about putting any kind of implants. They have to check the thickness and the substance of the bone. And after 1 year, he went for a new control, and it turned out way better. which normally doesn't occur. We just don't know of improvements in this area of the bones getting stronger and more stable structure. The question, does it come from drinking the water? Like I said, we can only assume, because the one thing he changed was he was drinking the Kangen water. And see, his wife is a nurse, and she got the Kangen water, and that's all he got to drink. In their household, there was no other water available, so he was around forced, or was no other choice but to drink it. Sometimes it does take a while for people to adjust, or to come for the idea to come across. It was in Sri Lanka also. We had where the people didn't really want it. They wanted to get a different kind of a machine. But I said, no, out of here with that other stuff. My employees can all have the best water to drink. They don't need to buy any other cheap machines that are not producing the quality that I'm expecting. So now they're all go to the machine, get their water, drink it. When they sit down to eat, or when they always get the good basic water. And it's become routine now. And the doctors are very excited and positive about the program. After an initial instructional lecture from me to introduce them to the different kinds of water, and one of the doctors, her husband was also there from another hospital, so we all have high expectations for the project. Thank you for your attention.